What's up, Anthony Dellaventura, IFBB pro bodybuilder?
What's up, my man? Long time no see.
Yeah, tell me about it. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. When you hit me up at first, like people hit me up on Instagram, and I'm like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah,
And I'm like, and then you messaged me because I didn't serious and silliness. I didn't know. I was like, who's this guy? And then I was, it's literally, I was like, wow, what a blast from the past.
yeah. I didn't have social media until I started this YouTube channel podcasting.
Okay.
So now I'm like, get in contact with all these people I went to high school with from Staten Island, so on and so forth.
That's awesome.
All right, so you got your pro card.
So basically, real quick story. I was a fireman. I left the job in 2011, and I got back into personal training full time in 2012 with Joe Papalardo. Do you know Joe?
If I see him, I might know him.
You know
I think he's your partner,
So,
right?
yeah, he was my partner. So we worked at another gym in Morristown, and then we started our own company called Excel Nutrition, Excel Precision Training.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just happened to be like when the pandemic hit, Joe and I were in the process of shutting the business down because it's very different than it was back in the day, like when we were training, like
Mm-hmm.
coming up. It's just a lot, from my experience, a lot of the trainers just didn't want to hustle, and it made no sense financially. So we started basically shutting the business down. The pandemic happened, so it was like perfect time, not perfect timing for the pandemic, but for us to shut the business down.
Right.
And then we started branding ourselves. And I figured at that point, when I was training, it was relative. I figured if I competed, it would help my nutrition business. So
Sure.
I competed in 2016. I did the Met, and then I did Team U. I didn't get smoked at Team U, but it wasn't my best showing. Then I
Okay.
had a lot of injuries, and then 2019, I was like, this is it. I'm going to give it one last shot.
Right.
And I wound up, I had a qualified. So I did the jerseys. I won the Masters 35, and I won the Masters 40 and over.
What show was that?
That was the Jersey State.
Which one? Who promotes that show?
That's Eddie Maz's show.
Well, I don't know. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, it was Diamond Jim. Oh, Maz. So Diamond Jim
Oh,
sponsored it.
Diamond Jim is the black guy.
Yeah.
Dwayne something.
Wayne. Yeah. Good guy.
Yeah, he is a good guy.
So then I qualified for the North Americans, and I only compete. I was strategic with it, and a lot, like, I'm at the tail end of my career, so I had a big gap from competing.
Mhm.
Like I almost had a 10-year gap. I did my first show in 2003, and
I
am
remember
a
that.
bodybuilder.
I remember that actually.
Yeah, I did the Easterns, and then I had a little scare. I wound up having a benign tumor in my neck, and the doctor. I
Oh,
wasn't
wow.
educated at that point, and the doctor's like, you gotta stop taking testosterone. So scared me shitless because I didn't know any better.
Right.
So I took a hiatus, and then I wound up getting the itch again, and so I turned pro in my 6th show ever. So I wound up doing the North American. I didn't do the open class. I was strategic because,
Yeah.
like I wasn't really like competing all this time. So I figured, let me just do the Masters and see how it goes. And from a business standpoint, I said, if I could turn pro, it just gives me credibility online, because I know there are so many people that are coaches that don't have any credentials. So I figured, I do have some credentials. I said, but the IFBB pro goes a lot further from the coaching standpoint. So I did it. I wound up turning a pro, and I was like, wow, this is great.
Yeah. First of all, don't downplay the fact that you turned pro. Okay. It was my dream as a kid to be a pro bodybuilder, and it just never happened. Right. Well, it never happened because, I mean, I did four shows, and
Okay.
every prep got worse and worse and worse. I got to my 4th show, I was like ready to, commit suicide. It was ridiculous.
Right.
I was like, all right, this is it. And by that point, I was married, and I was driving my wife crazy. I was like, yeah, well, we're done here. But anyway, getting your pro card as a bodybuilder, to me, maybe we're a little old school. I know that you have the physique and classic physique, but getting your pro card as a bodybuilder, whether it's Masters or Open, to me is a tremendous accomplishment, because that's it. Again, maybe I'm old school, but that is what a pro is, a bodybuilder, nothing else.
I agree. And
I
I worked
I don't want to shit on the other classes,
right.
but every other class piggybacks off bodybuilding. Right? I mean, that's how I look at it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the classic guys look great, but
I'm a bodybuilder, open
Me too.
competitor at heart, but like you have to understand the history of the sport. It was fading until they came up with all these other classes. Like
That's true. That is true.
when they
Yeah.
came up with physique, the it was booming because it was a more attainable look.
Yeah, and the bikini thing, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so they pivoted financially, and I totally understand that. But with that being said, back in the day, now I don't know all the particulars, so don't quote me. But as far as I knew, like when we were coming up, when somebody turned pro, you're like, if you saw that guy in the gym, you're like, well, that fucking guy is a pro.
Different story. Like there are pros in the gym now. I don't even know they're pros.
Right.
You know, back then, when we were kids in the 90s, there were 3 guys that in the tri-state area that people were talking about, and only one of them was a pro. Do you remember the 3 guys?
So
it was Dave Palumbo,
yep,
Vinny Galante, and Jason Owens.
Right. Yeah. So Jay, I know them all. Actually, obviously, I don't know if you know, I'm an ambassador for Species, so I'm good. I'm friends with Dave.
Oh,
I'm good
great.
friends with Vinny Galante. I used to work at the Mawa gym, the powerhouse up there. He lives up there. And Jason, I just saw a couple of months ago, but Jason had a crazy physique back in the day.
Oh my God. When he turned pro as a light heavyweight, he looked amazing. The problem back then was once you turned open, there was no 212.
Right.
You know, he turned pro and he had to stand next to Paul Dillette.
Right.
You know, I was like, really? Like that's
right.
not gonna happen. That's impossible, you know?
So the way that the sport pivoted, and you know, like, so you had to win the USAs, or you had to come in first in Miami. That was pretty much
That was the only way.
That was the only way.
That was it.
So now, if you really think about it, so I turned pro at the North American. It was what was it, Chris? 225 or 250? It was either 225 or 250 per class. So it cost me $500 just for that.
Just to enter.
The reason why, just to compete. Now they make it top 2 because it's more of a draw from the amateur standpoint. So like it's now become a full-on business. Right, I would agree with you that you have a lot of people that are turning pro that back in the day would probably never have been able to turn pro.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I'm not devaluing what I did, but I am also like,
you're realist.
For me turning pro, right? I've always wanted to be a pro bodybuilder too. I mean, it was never like I became a fireman, but I was always like, I would always look at these guys, like you see these guys on stage, you're like, wow, these guys are on another level.
Right.
And now I figured I could do 2 things, right, for my business. I could go and compete as a master. I would feel very confident. Or I could step into uncharted waters for myself and step on a 212 stage with some world-class athletes. And that's what I chose because
I would do the same thing.
Fuck, why am I going to do something? Why am I going to take the easy way out?
Don't half-ass it. Yeah.
And that's not a discredit to the master competitors.
Right.
What I'm saying is like, I want to challenge myself because for me to step on a 212 stage at 5'9", first of all, I'm a taller competitor for the class.
Right. Yeah.
And you know, I have some glaring weaknesses. So the only thing I have some good symmetry, and I'm going to have to bring some nasty conditioning. But I'm simply doing this for myself. Like, there's no like, I don't have any ambitions.
The experience of being on a professional stage with at 212 with guys like, you know,
David. Let's just say David Henry does the New York Pro.
Oh my God, dude! I don't know how
Ashkenani or all these other guys.
Right. I don't know how you're not a fan. Like I would be a fan first. I'd be asking autographs back there.
Right.
You know? So quickly, let's just say how I contacted you because it's really funny. So I'm a big fan of Fouad Abiad and I'm a fan after his bodybuilding career. I'm a fan of his podcasting and his YouTube channel now.
Yeah.
And which is why I'm wearing his shirt, right? I bought his shirt. Actually, my wife bought this for me for
Christmas. Actually has some nice gear.
Yeah, he does. So I purposely wore this shirt because of how I contacted you. So I'm watching it. I loved it. I was a big Luke Sandow fan. I was very tragic and whatnot.
Very tragic.
And he was people like he always says, and a lot of podcasts say, Joe Rogan was the guy that inspired me. No, Fouad Abiad inspired me to start this, right? Anyway, so I'm watching it, and my wife loves to watch it with me too, and she's not into bodybuilding too. She just likes that guy, Nick Walker. She thinks he's funny.
Yeah, okay.
You know, she likes Sistanino. She thinks he's funny. So we're watching it, and it was the first episode of Rate My Physique. And all of a sudden, this guy pops up and he puts your picture up. And I'm like, I jumped off my couch and went, yo, that's Anthony Dellaventura. That's my friend. We used to go to Gold's Gym together in Staten Island. And I immediately grabbed my phone and I like paused it so I can get your Instagram, account. And I immediately fucking messaged you on Instagram. And I was like, yo, I was like, congratulations, that's awesome. And then I was like, oh, you got to give me an interview.
Yeah, my phone was blowing up. And honestly, I did it for shits and giggles because when he put that up, there was like 600 comments. So I'm like, let me put it up. And I guess he meant it for amateurs, but by all rights, I haven't competed as a pro. So why wouldn't I want to, for shits and giggles, get their critique?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they gave me a healthy critique. And you want to know what? They had the thing about this sport is, I mean, I have thick skin for being a fireman. And as a bodybuilder, when you're going on stage,
taking off your clothes. Yeah.
It basically half naked to be critiqued. That's literally the sport. So if you can't take someone's critiquing, then you probably shouldn't be in the sport. They brought up some valid points. We all know I have my quads are my weakest body part, especially being on a pro stage. But the only thing I would say about that is I kind of touched on it in episode 4 of Deluxe Road to the New York Pro, my documentary into the New York Pro. I would say if you're going to do something like that, I think that for some of the younger guys, like, it didn't change one thing for me. Fawad's like, you should wait before you compete. I'm competing. So I already made my mind up.
Well, he also doesn't know, he doesn't go over your age.
Right. So, I mean, but
he doesn't, if you were 25 and pro, it's a big difference. How old? You're my age, right? 44?
I'll be 44 in March. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big, you don't have time to wait.
I'll be stepping on stage as a 44-year-old rookie.
Yeah. Right. Like there's, I can't wait. There's no waiting, Yeah, exactly.
So he basically, when they're critiquing, the couple guys after me, they're like, you don't even have enough lean tissue. We can't critique you. You could really do some mental damage to some of the younger kids that are super insecure.
Oh my God, dude.
Like if you rip somebody to shreds, now they gave me a healthy critiquing and they brought up some valid points. I mean, he's like, you need bigger arms. I mean, my arms are 20 inches if they're my best body part. So,
yeah.
I mean, they also will look at me not in shape. I am a bodybuilder that looks much better when I'm in shape.
Yeah.
Off season, I'm nothing spectacular to look at.
Right. But when I'm in shape, says you.
But when I'm in shape, I mean, for the caliber of athletes that I'm going to be going up against.
Yeah. They're also looking at a picture. It's a big difference seeing you in person or seeing a professional bodybuilder in person,
Huge.
So
I think they should be a little bit more.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you were breaking up a little bit. Go ahead.
Who was critiquing?
No, I said I think they should be a little bit more delicate with some of the younger guys.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, they are, sending them their link themselves. If you don't, So who was critiquing you? It was
you set yourself up for sure.
Yeah, no question. So it was Fouad.
So it was Fouad, Ian Valliere.
Oh right, Ian Valliere and Sergio. I mean, that in itself is pretty cool to be critiqued by the son of one of the greatest bodybuilders who ever lived, right?
Yeah.
And he's actually making a big name for himself, right? Would he come in 5th in the Arnold this year?
Who?
Sergio.
So Sergio won the 2017 New York Pro, and he didn't compete this year. He took the year off.
Oh, I thought he did. He did the Arnold Classic.
Oh, yes, he did. He got the best poser.
That's right, but he came in either 5th or 6th.
Oh, okay. And then Ian had a great year.
Yeah, Ian had a great year. It was a little controversial, but he made up for it in the Olympia. That's for sure. He looked amazing at the Olympia.
Yeah, they were hyping him up when against, I think it was the Tampa or Chicago, when he went against Hunter Labrada.
Yeah.
He was a little hyped up, and then he came back and won. I think he won the New York Pro.
He won the New York Pro. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was taking a lot of heat for the New York Pros. A lot of people thought that who's the Spanish guy that came in 2nd?
Justin Rodriguez.
Yeah, they thought Justin should have won, and he was taking a lot of heat for it. But he shut everybody up at the Olympia. Man, he looked amazing at the Olympia.
Yeah, he looked great.
Yeah. So I've known you since what, late teens, early 20s?
Probably. Right. I mean, 19. I was at Gold. 19. I was at Gold's. Yeah.
Yeah. So about 19, 20 years old. Yeah. Gold's Gym in Staten Island. Now, here's the thing: if you would have told me back then that you were going to be a pro bodybuilder, I would have said no, definitely not. I would have said he is going to be a power lifter. Because I remember like it was yesterday, if it was chest day, and I remember you telling me that you eat sushi every chest day. Do you remember that?
Right, yeah.
And you used to come in and the whole gym would stop because you would bench and you were as strong as an ox. It was insane. It was you and who was the other guy? But like the other guy looked like a power lifter. Ronnie something or other. He's a big dude, a big belly. Needs to be
Ronnie. Not Ronnie. He bounced with the blonde hair.
Yeah.
He'd have people spot him. He'd have 5 plates on there, and he'd have people pick it off his chest.
Right. So
what was his name?
I forgot his name, but that was it was you and him that would make the whole gym stop and watch. And I'll be very honest with you. I was envious because we were about the same age, and I'm like, how is this guy so fucking strong? And I remember because the cardio would be up at the top, and we look down. You would look down on the the workout area. Yeah. I remember watching you. How much were you benching back then?
So my best ever. So I had 2 things that stand out. I did 225 44 times, and then I did 550 for a single.
Wow, and you're talking raw, right?
Raw. I mean, I was on gear, but no belt, no wrist straps, nothing.
Yeah, no lifting shirt or anything like that.
Yeah, nothing. No, I never wore an injury shirt ever.
And I remember, is your wife around? Because I don't want to.
Oh no, you're fine.
Okay.
Andrea. I was dating Andrea.
Okay, what's her name?
Andrea Patrizio.
Is it the same girl that?
Andrea Patrizio is the one that I was dating when I worked at Gold's.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. You were like the strongest guy in Gold, pound for pound, and you were dating a girl that was like, I don't know how she had to be maybe 120 pounds at 5'7" with the biggest boobs
ever.
Yeah, and I was so envious. I'd be like, but I wasn't like, it wasn't hate because we were friends, but I was just looking at you. I'd be like, my God, like if I could like change bodies right now, right? But that's how you are when you're a kid, you know?
Yeah.
But okay, so now you're a pro bodybuilder from Staten Island. I know you live in Jersey now, right?
Yep, Whippany. Yep.
But how many pros came out of Jersey besides Leon Brown? Out of Staten Island.
I mean,
seriously, Leon Brown.
Yeah, Leon Brown was.
Who else came out of Staten Island that was pro? That might be it.
I don't know, to be honest. That's a good question. I never thought about it.
Gennaro Briganti was from Brooklyn, and he moved to Staten Island when he turned pro. He turned pro when he lived in Brooklyn.
I actually still talk to Gennaro.
Oh, okay. And he turned pro, but he wasn't a native Staten Islander. I think it might be just you and Leon Brown. I mean, bodybuilding.
That's pretty good history.
I was thinking about it today. I was like, how many Staten Island guys turn pro in bodybuilding? Leon Brown, who's probably the most famous, one.
Oh, Mike Giolotti from he owns Intox Fitness in Oakwood.
Oh yeah, but did he turn pro in bodybuilding?
Yeah, he turned pro. He looked great. I was actually at the show. He turned. Oh, so I saw him. He competed at your show, and then he turned pro at Team U. He was working with AJ Sims from Cement Factory, 2018.
Oh, okay. So did he do a pro? Well, okay. So seriously, 1 out of 3. That's still pretty damn good.
Yeah. He hasn't done a pro show yet. I think he's looking to do one. I don't know when though.
I don't know, but he was one of those guys that was like, he was like one of those guys you envy too, because he always made money. No matter what he touched, he made money. That his gyms always made money. He always made money. It was unbelievable. What else was I gonna say to you? Okay. Do you remember coming to the 1999 Mr. Staten Island that I was in? Because
as a matter of fact, I do, because Tommy Messina
he won the overall.
Joe Freak was in it.
Yeah, who was the other guy's name? Joe what?
Joe. We called him Joe Freak, but
he died, right?
No, he's alive. He's alive.
Then who am I thinking of?
Joe Baggs died.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, Joe Baggs died. Joe was the short dude. The shorter dude.
Yes.
Yeah. And Tommy Messina won the overall Mr. Staten Island 99. And I won the middleweight class. Do you remember that?
I remember the show. It was great.
Yeah, it was, and I remember you and Andrea were there, and then I didn't do another show till 2012. I went from 99 to
Oh,
2012.
that's funny that you say that because show. in two- I did a show in 2012, and it was my only natural show ever. It was the worst experience I've ever went through.
Yeah, yeah, it's for it's for people that don't understand. It's natural is great, but you get no notoriety, and that's I understand that it's a personal choice, but how I explain it is
No,
when you watch a fight, you want to watch knockouts. When you watch baseball, you want to watch home runs. And when you want to watch bodybuilding, you want to watch the biggest, baddest
of course.
sons of bitches on the stage. And that's just what the deal is.
Right.
Yeah, I did what did I do? I did the tri-state, I did Muscle Beach, and then
Okay.
2 years later, I did the Brooklyn Grand Prix. And after that, I was like, okay, I can't handle this dieting anymore. I'm done. You really cut out for it or you're not. And I didn't have enough size, and there was no classic yet, and that the dieting just killed me. How do you handle the dieting and running a business at the same time?
So now this is I was just saying this in a post. This is going to be my first prep where I'm actually not personal training full time. So I did my last 4 shows working 14-hour days
How do you
on
do that?
on my feet. So now the food part is pretty easy. Like once I get dialed in, that's the easy part. My issue is I'm a night eater, and my wife sometimes has to hide the peanut butter so I don't eat the whole jar.
It's amazing how they deal with it. Like I remember I did 3 shows, two of which, no, all 3 of them were before I was married, and then I married her. And I remember after every prep, I would go out like the next day after the show and buy my wife gifts, like
Right.
gift cards, flowers, anything, because I'm like, I don't know how this girl is putting up with me right now.
Well, it's a little bit easier for us because Kristen's a pro. She turned pro this year.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you guys understand each other. Oh, now could you
Yeah.
imagine? Could you imagine? So what did she turn pro in?
She turned pro in figure. She actually won. She came in top 2 in the open class. So we figured that, but usually, you have a more of her. Usually, people that do are compete as a master and then open. Depends
Mhm.
on the show. The open is obviously going to be the harder class. She wound up winning the open and turning pro that way.
That's fantastic. And again, I'm not shitting on any classes, but she turned pro in a respectable class, because I mean this wellness
I'm not
thing.
a fan of it, to be honest. I mean, they just made. I'm not a fan of it because it just crowds the space, but it is what it
Yeah,
is.
wellness and bikini. It's like, well, what are you judging here? I don't understand as
It's
far as.
literally between bikini and figure.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like I don't. It's bikini with a bigger butt. Like I don't get it. I don't.
Yeah, and like so the conditioning, they don't want. I think they don't want the legs as hard, but they want conditioning up top. It's very. I don't know. I honestly don't know all the criteria, to be honest with you.
To each his own. I mean, like I said, pro card's a pro card, but as far as I'm concerned, uh, bodybuilding and for me, turning pro in figure, physique, bodybuilding, and fitness. Those fitness girls are amazing.
Yeah.
Those are respectable. I mean, listen, you turn pro as a bikini and whatever. I mean, I'm not pooping on it. It's just my opinion, but I just have more respect. Maybe I'm a little too old school because when we were growing up, there was none of that. There was even the girls. You turned pro bodybuilding. That was it.
Lee Priest would have dominated 212 if they had it back in the day.
You think so?
He would have. Nobody would have been able to stand next to him.
Yeah. The only thing, he always had a problem with his hammies, it was hamstrings and glutes, and the separation in his quads. He kind of always looked like he kind of could have dieted a little harder. But then again, back then back then it was very like Ronnie Coleman was the only one with shredded glutes back then. You know what I mean?
Lee Priest has openly talked about his gear protocol on Dave Palumbo's.
Yeah, I watch it all the time.
He basically had draws right up into the show, so it definitely affected his conditioning.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, I wish I had that problem. You know what I mean? I wish I was top 5 in the world, but I don't know, man. Those like guys like Sean Clarita and Flex Lewis. You know, I am of the opinion that athletes get better and better and better. Do you know what I mean? Like when we were growing up, I mean, Michael Jordan was great, but LeBron and I mean, he's like a freak, you know? And I think the same thing with bodybuilding. I feel like the guys
Look
are
at Dexter
bigger,
Jackson. Dexter Jackson, timeless.
unbelievable. Like that guy, no, that guy is, as far as I'm concerned. Oh, that's actually a good question. Let's go there. We both agree that Dexter is one of the best that ever did it.
Ever.
If you pick like I don't know the top 5 or top 6 bodybuilders of all time, who would you pick?
Ronnie Coleman, number 1.
Yeah, me too.
I am a big Phil Heath fan, so I would have to put him up there, but like in no particular order because I think Jay Cutler is up there.
Okay.
I think you got to put Lee Haney up there simply from like if you're talking about the open competitors, like Ronnie won 8, Phil won 7, Jay won 4,
right,
Lee Haney won 8.
right.
And then I mean from a winning standpoint outside of the Olympia, you'd have to put Dexter there. Dexter has IFBB wins.
Yeah, there's no question. There's no the guy. See, for me, it's Ronnie, Phil, Dorian.
And Dorian, of course, Dorian.
Yeah, Dorian, Lee Haney, Schwarzenegger, Dexter, right? And here's somebody nobody mentions because everybody thinks of women. I mean, you can have your opinions on women bodybuilding, but has anybody ever won 10 Olympias like Iris Kyle?
I don't think so. As a matter of fact,
I mean, you have to put her in as one of the best ever, whether she's a girl or guy. The girl won 10 Miss Olympias, and I don't know how many Arnolds. Like it was ridiculous,
unheard of. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So here's the next question: who was the bodybuilder or bodybuilders that motivated you the most when you were a kid? Who did you idolize?
Flex Wheeler.
Yeah.
Cartoonish. I was a big Kevin Levrone fan.
Oh, okay.
And believe it or not, he just because of the freak factor, Marcus Rule.
Yes. Yeah.
Like when I would look at the mat, like when you would pick up muscular development, like you'd see these guys and like those guys to me, like Flex Wheeler, you know, like just had those tiny joints, like just these flaring muscle bellies. Like you looked at it, you like, and that guy, I mean, at his heaviest, maybe he competed at 225, 230.
Yeah.
He looked like he was 260.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. He's kind of like I say Sean Clarity is like a mini Flex Wheeler.
Without a doubt. And I'm friends with Sean. He trains at Iron Culture. Nicest guy in the world. Always covered up. But like it's a perfect example. Like when you see that guy in clothes, you're like, you know, like he's big. He's a thick dude.
Right.
But like when you see him in shape, it's like a mini like combination of like Sean Ray, Flex Wheeler combination.
Yeah. Sean Ray was the guy who I idolized as a kid because I'm barely 5'8". I'm like 5'7.5". Yeah. And Sean Ray was this short, compact bodybuilder, and his symmetry was amazing, and he had this thick muscle. I remember this. I actually I found the picture of him when I was a kid. I was like 15 working out in my basement. And there's a picture of him with no shirt on, leaning up against a Ferrari. And I forgot what magazine it was. And I remember seeing that magazine and looking at it while I was in my basement lifting weights and being like, wow, he looked amazing. And I found that picture online and I put it on my Instagram, right? But he was the guy that I idolized because, you know, to me, it was like, I guess it was the same scenario as like a classic physique kid doing classic physique. Yeah, Marcus Rule and Dorian and Ronnie Coleman were mass monsters, but I was never a mass monster. So I always had like decent shape and a small waist and good legs and whatnot. So I always related to the Sean Rays. And well, Sean Ray was really number one for me. And then of course Lee Priest, but that's only because he was like a freak. He was like 5'4". And do you remember how fat he used to get on those off season?
Yeah, he talks about it a lot. The one thing, if he could go back and change things, he would take his off seasons a little bit more seriously because he just let himself go.
Yeah. But a lot of guys did though. Back then, guys got like their stomach. Remember how big their stomachs back then were like on their off season. It was almost like a badge of honor how big their stomachs were. I remember going to the Olympia in 2001 and Craig Titus wasn't in the show. He was just sitting there signing autographs and his stomach was actually on his lap, and then they would diet down. Like it was unbelievable, And I remember being like, oh, I idolize these guys so much. I wanted a big stomach like that.
Yeah, I mean that's also due to the the insulin and the growth. I mean, it depends on the amount of food that they're eating. My waist is actually on the thicker side too. Like I noticed when we go, this was one of my first times that. Well, so I'm 240 now. This is the heaviest that I've been in my life as far as being relatively lean. But my stomach, like I'm looking forward to dieting down because I'm 240. I have to lose 28 pounds.
Wow.
To make weight, but I'm all for it because sometimes I got to hold my breath to tie my shoes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I mean, I had gotten there, but not that bad. I think the biggest I ever was like 230, 235. I walk around like 205.
Right. I'm
So
happy, I think when I retire, I would be 215, 220. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, that's pretty much me now. Like, not that I'm retired, but like I just go to the gym, stay in shape. I use some testosterone, and that's about it. I'm 44 years old. I'm married. A career trying to do this stupid ass podcast.
That's awesome.
What was I going to say to you? Okay, so you're doing the New York Pro.
Yeah, I'm doing the New York Pro. Yeah, so it's in Tampa, unfortunately. So a lot of the family and friends are not going to be able to go.
Yeah, but you know what? They're all going to be in Florida until everything opens up again. Everything's moving to Florida, and I mean, I don't blame them. I mean,
we'll see how tomorrow goes because you got to do a lot with tomorrow's inauguration. I'm just saying, like this country could flip upside down tomorrow for all we know. Who knows?
Oh, that's right. Tomorrow's the 20th. Oh God, I don't know.
My friends, been texting me like, store up on food. We're gonna go dark. Like these people are crazy.
These conspiracy that's a little nuts. I don't think that's gonna happen. I try to stay away from politics because it just gets nuts.
It's depressing.
Yeah, it really is. So New York Pro is when?
New York Pro is May 15th. So tomorrow I'll be 16 and a half weeks.
So May 15th, New York Pro, Tampa, Florida, and you're making Anthony Dellaventura is making his pro debut in 212.
212.
Do you know who? Do you have any idea who you're going up against yet?
No, I haven't even looked at the lineup. And to be honest with you, I'm not one to compare. Like, in other words, I would actually rather go dark on social media, just because
it's the old school
I need to beat who I was in 2019, and as long as I do that, that's all I care about.
That's the old school way. Remember Dorian used to go back to the UK, and you never heard from him until the Olympia the next year, and he came back and demolished everybody. And you wouldn't know anything about him until he made Blood and Guts. That was it.
One of the greatest videos ever.
Oh yeah, definitely. So give us a plug. Where can people find you?
So I do lifestyle plans and I do competitive plans. So my website is deluxecoaching.com, and deluxe is spelled with 2 L's. Okay. And my Instagram is Anthony_Deluxe.
Okay, I got your Instagram, but it's Deluxe DELL. Good, spell it for me.
Yeah, so Deluxe is spelled with 2 L's. Deluxecoaching.com.
What is it? Deluxe what? I'm sorry.
Deluxecoaching.com. That's the website.
Okay.
And then everybody, I get honestly a lot of business off of Instagram.
And what's your Instagram?
Instagram is Anthony_Deluxe with 2 L's.
Anthony_Deluxe with 2 L's. Okay, cool. Because I'm gonna put that in the comment section.
Awesome.
So that people could contact you.
Appreciate it.
Oh yeah, of course, absolutely, man. We got to help each other, right?
Always. I'm glad that you had me on. This is my first interview. I feel like a celebrity.
That's fantastic, dude. I'm glad I'm the first person to do it, man. I was going to ask you one more thing, and I don't even remember what it was actually. I don't remember. I don't know. Sometimes I go blank. I'm like, I'm getting old, man. It's just
I wing a lot of my stuff on social media, so I get it. I know.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. But listen, dude, I really appreciate it, and good luck. I know you're going to do well at the New York Pro.
Thank you, man.
And yeah, man, I can't believe you turned pro. That's just fantastic. I mean, that's just tremendous.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely, dude. Listen, once again,
we'll stay in touch for sure.
Oh, no doubt. Serious and Silliness is my YouTube channel and my podcast. It's on Spotify. It's on Google Podcasts. I'm trying to get it on Apple. It seems to be impossible, but
that's awesome, man. I'm glad to see you doing this.
Thanks a lot, bro. I really appreciate it, man. And listen, good luck to you, dude.
Thanks, man. Stay in touch.
You got it.
All right, brother.